All right, we got a new tournament coming out starting off next week. It's the Tropic Kings tournament. These holes are all available on Tour 7. So if you're playing in Ricky from the front tees, there's only a few of the holes. Some of the Santa Venturas are available on Tour 2. So there's 4 holes that we can practice. There's 4 holes from the Oasis and 1 hole from Sunshine Glades that we won't be able to practice from the Ricky tees until we actually get in the tournament. So they don't have it out on Golf Clash Notebook yet, but I've figured out which holes we're at. So hole number 1 in the Tropic Kings tournament is actually hole number 2 in the Oasis. And playing on from the front tees here, it's an optical illusion about hitting out into this area. It's a very tough shot if you hit out here. I mean, even if you get way up here, it's still a pretty tough shot. I find that the shot from over here gives me a very good angle coming in, and so this will be my shot here. Now typically on this is a great hole for a quarterback because you're hitting onto these very small fairways and you're trying to lay the ball up, and you don't have to be all the way up against the rough here. Anywhere out in this area is going to do you well, and this is a great hole for a ball with some ball guide. This green is pretty tough as far as like how it rolls down to the hole, but this is a great, you can come at it from this direction and roll back down to the hole. So on this one, I'm definitely going to be using a quarterback, and I'll bring a ball accordingly, whatever it takes for my quarterback. Typically, if you're bringing out a quarterback to do a layup shot like this, and it'll be a bounce over from here, end up over in this area with the straight in shot going in. If you're taking this shot, typically, if I'm using a QB, I'm looking at bringing a bigger ball, and we're not going to need a lot of side spin a lot of side spin here. So having some side spin on the ball, we could probably get away with this with maybe a katana, maybe a 2-power ball, and that'll give you the 3 side spin if you needed side spin, especially for the getting on the green. But if you find that you're a little short on distance, then you can pop that up to a Titan. If you still can't make it with your quarterback, you've got lower developed clubs and you have to hit this with an extra mile. It's a little riskier just because the extra mile is not as accurate. So a lot of times you'll make this bounce down here, but once it touches the ground the very first time, then your error is going to present itself out here on the other end, and it's very easy to end up in the rough on one side or the other when you're using an extra mile. You'll make the bounce, but then it'll end up landing somewhere bad on the other side. With a QB, because it's so much more accurate, your chances of ending up out in the fairway out here are greatly increased. So I will be going at it from this direction, not this direction over here. This direction looks like, man, you could just pound the ball out here and you got a nice easy shot. It can be difficult out here. So if you like this area out here and you want to do it, you're gonna have to hit out here a few times and see what kind of distance you're getting and what your next club would be. It's going to need to probably be one of your bigger woods, something that hits a long ways. But you'll have to practice this out here and see what kind of distance you're getting and where you're laying, where your ball's ending up. Because of how it turns down here at the very end, and this is pretty narrow, this is not necessarily a great place to do any kind of overpower. This hole is very treacherous. It's very easy to end up in the rough, and you end up in the rough out here or end up in the rough in any of these spots, and it can be very difficult if you can even get on. So the goal here is to definitely be in the fairway. So that was hole number 1 of the Tropic King. So hole number 2 is hole 7 of the Oasis, and it's a par 3. Now this hole here, man, this hole, especially in one-on-one play, because depending on which way the wind's blowing, if you're getting any kind of headwind here, it plays very difficult. And so there's several different ways to play this. In the tournament, I can guarantee you, regardless of what's the best way to try and get a hole-in-one on this, I'm going to bring, from the front tees, I'm probably going to bring a Guardian, and I'm going to try and either land way up on this, bring whatever ball it takes. This may or may not be one of those holes that you can bring a lower-powered ball. I want to if I could get on the green with a Guardian and just keep it on the green and never take all this stuff out of play and just be dealing with this green right here, that's my total goal. If I can't achieve that, then I will do the bounce over from this one, but I am not interested in doing any double bounces or bouncing over this water. If you play this game for any length of time, you will learn that anytime you have your first landing spot here and your next hop is over sand and water, your ball will get affected more than normal. And so anytime you can take this type of situation out of play, you're much better off. So I will start the week off seeing if I can get on the green and stay on the green, and I'm pretty sure that I'll be able to. And if not, then I'm going to bounce off of this fairway and then bounce it onto the green. But I'm taking all of this stuff out of play. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in anything that will improve the odds that I will get anything less than a birdie. So if I can take all of the chops out of play on a par 3, I'm definitely going to want to do that. This hole is going to eat some people's lunch this week, and there's going to be more people who fail on this hole than get hole-in-ones. So I want to be one of those people that gets a birdie every time and occasionally gets a hole-in-one. And I do not want to risk any shot of getting anything but a birdie. All right, so hole number 3 in the Tropic Kings is going to be in Sunshine Glades. Let's go to Sunshine Glades. If I can spell today. Sunshine Glades. And it's going to be hole 3, which is a par 5. Now, I've never found that hitting over here is the way to go on this. The way to go is you can bounce off of this island and you end up in this spot, and then you're coming straight in. So normally on this hole, when I'm playing a one-on-one, you can easily hit this island with a quarterback and a bigger ball, or you can come here with like a katana and an extra mile. And what'll happen if we pull this back so that we can see the tee box. So if we draw a line from the green, from the pin to the tee box, it goes right through the sand right here. And so when you set your ball up out in this area and you're going to be towards this tip, the tip here looks like this. Okay, it's round, right? It's round, but around this edge right here, it drops off. So here's the flat area for the green, and then it drops off in the front, and it drops off on all the sides. There's a landing area here that's flat. And what you don't want to do when you set your ball up, you can kind of see where these little moguls are. You don't want to be anywhere near this edge, because what it'll do is it'll flatten your ball off. You've got a curve that goes like this, and your ball hits that edge, and what it does is it takes a flat hop forward, and you may not achieve the result out on this side. What you want to do is hit out here on the flat so that it bounces over this area. And you're going to be heading right towards that sand. So when you come out here, you're going to be in this area. You're going to be in this area right here, heading right towards the sand. So what you'll have to do is put some curl on it to bring it back into the fairway. Now you can help yourself out here by bringing a ball that has a lot of side spin. So like a katana. And you can get this done easily with a katana. If you've got really low developed clubs, you may have to pop that up a little bit, but you can play this hole from the front tees with anything that's got some side spin on it so that it'll help you get out here. So this is a Quasar, Katana, Kingmaker type hole. The reason that you might want to bring a bigger ball is not necessarily for the shot getting out here, but it's the approach shot coming into the green. And so you want to get out into this area so that you have a nice run on this fairway out here, and you don't want to, if you're out in this area, then you're having to deal with this fairway at shortening it up trying to get to the hole. So the farther you can get out here, the better. You don't have to push the limit and get way out there by the fringe where, you know, sometimes you roll off onto the rough. You don't need to be that close. You just need to be out here somewhere towards the tip of this sand as far as distance wise, and then you'll have a nice shot coming in. It's definitely a hole that I'm going to bring something that's got ball guides, so like a sniper backbone. I don't think that we're going to be, I think the shot from out here, if I remember correctly, is a wood shot, so I'm going to bring my sniper and then coming straight at the hole. As the week goes on and as I go through my notes from playing this hole in previous tournaments, I will see if we're making any wind adjustments or if there's a, you know, what type of adjustment we're making for that second shot. But I definitely want to come out here with, and like I said, you can use any driver that you have here. I'll try and use my quarterback if I can get enough distance on my quarterback's got lots of curl. And it's a layup shot out here. You're not trying to put necessarily everything on it. You're just trying to get the ball out into this area so you have a nice straight shot to the green. Okay, hole number 4 in the Tropic Kings tournament is going to be on Santa Ventura. So let's go back to Santa Ventura. Santa Ventura. And we're looking at hole 2, par 3. And this is another one of those things that I'm going to, we definitely, you're starting off on the green. They show a black line here. That's the way. You're going straight at it. And there is some adjustment here because the ball tends to want to go to the right. So I'll go back and look at my notes and see if I've got any videos posted for these Santa Ventura holes from the rookie tees. I know the first 2, the Oasis ones, I may or may not have them. I'll have to go and look through my videos and try and put together a collection of shots. Otherwise, I'll have to wait until the first qualifying round on Monday. But this is definitely a hole here that we have a shot at hole-in-one. The shot itself automatically takes out everything out here, so none of this stuff is in play. We're just dealing with the green. It doesn't take any curl to get the ball to go back to the hole. Maybe a little bit of side spin, a little teeny bit of back or top spin. So this is definitely going to be a hole as the week goes on. We can start to dial in those numbers and really start to work it. Here, for me on these types of par 3s, it's all ball dependent. So what I'm looking for when I'm trying to pick a ball is I'm trying to find a ball that here's the spot that I want to start off on. And let's say it's the white ring up against the transition between the fairway and the rough. I'll find some spot in here to wedge my ball in so that every time I can try and get it set up in exactly the same spot. And what I'm looking for is a red line that's right there so that I can adjust out for whatever wind they give us in the tournament and be right at my red line, because that's when I'm at my minimum club, and your club is always the most accurate when it's at minimum distance. So this may be one of those holes that we can bring a Navigator or we can bring a Marlin, but I'm going to bring whatever ball I need to bring in my bag to put me as close to my red line so that I don't have to deal with the mid numbers or, hey, I'm in between mid, max, or I want to be right at that minimum number. Or conversely, you could get up to the next club. So let's say you're here with your, I'll just pick a club. Let's say you're here with your Sniper, especially if you're playing from the second tees. But if you brought a 3-power ball, your red line's here, and now all of a sudden you're hitting this with your backbone. So ball has a lot to do with on what you're going to pick for this hole, because you want to make sure that you know exactly what your numbers are for your club, and you can help your club out by making sure that you're at those right numbers. You're not in between. All right, hole number 5 is hole 5, par 5 of Santa Ventura. And this hole here, in one-on-one play, so if we're from the rookie tees, you do not need to get, these trees right here are in play. And so you don't need to get way out here. There isn't a problem with getting way out there. The problem is when you go to set your second shot up, your ball guide's going to be going like this to the green, and the trees are going to be in the way. Now, I normally set my second shot up out here, and I put on a little bit of curl to bring it back towards the hole, so the trees aren't going to be in play for the shot, but what they will be in play for is the setup. So when you go to set this shot up, you may not be able to see your ball guide. Once you apply the curl, the ball is going to go where you want it to go, but you may not be able to see your ball guide because those trees are in the way, so it'll hamper you for setting the shot up. I've played this hole a ton of times, and I feel real good on this hole about being able to get an albatross. It's not a hole that you've got some massive albatross shot, but I've played this hole enough and done the same shot enough times that I'm very comfortable with this hole, and it is a great, you do have an albatross shot here. So ending up out in here, like if you look where the black line's at, anywhere, if you can draw a line from these trees in the green and getting this angle, anything out in this area right here will take the trees out of play. And the farther out you get, the more you take the risk. So you don't have to get very far out there. It's not even going to be one of those things where if you're using an extra mile where you have to put the distance on it. Now here's where this hole will cause people problems, especially if you have lower developed clubs, is because the second shot from out here in this little layup area, this second shot coming into the green is a long shot. So if you are back a little bit, you may not be able to get up there with sniper. You may not be able to get up there with your Guardian. And your Guardian's only got 2 topspin. So you may not be able to get up there with those clubs, so you may have to bring a big dog. Or even a lower level Cataclysm if you have a Cataclysm that's like level 2 or 3, and that's your big club in your bag if you got lucky and got one early. So the second shot is the one that's got distance on it, which means because we weren't able to pound the ball out here, out to this area, we're losing this distance. You know, we're losing this distance right here to the green, that you need to bring a big ball. And it's not for the drive shot. The big ball is for the second shot. So having a Katana or a Titan or a Kingmaker, and because we've got some curl that's involved in it, and we need some side spin, we need to bring that ball back to the green. This will be a great hole if to bring one of those bigger balls. I will probably bring at least a Katana. And if I don't like the Katana, I may bring a Kingmaker just for this second shot, just to knock the wind down a little bit and to help out with that second shot. I tend to take the second shot, and this is only because I've played this hole so many times. What I tend to do is I have a spot out here. I like to be 2 to 3 rings away from this rough. And I play one-on-one a lot with the Guardian, so I play this hole a lot with the Guardian. And the Guardian slightly struggles on this hole just because it doesn't have all that topspin. I like to be about 2 to 3 rings off from the rough, just for the wind, whatever wind it is. And then so when I take that wind out, then what I do is I put power back in it, and I do about half overpower with all of the curl that Guardian has to bring it back onto the hole. If you haven't played this hole a lot, and you should have, because this is a Tour 2 hole, and it's a long Tour 2 hole. So I'll probably use an extra mile, at least a Katana, if not a Kingmaker, to get out into this spot, and then I'm going to bring the ball back in. And because I'm bringing a bigger ball, and I do have a little bit higher developed clubs, I will probably try and do this second shot. If you've got higher developed stuff and you bring a bigger ball, you can do it with a sniper and you'll have great ball guide. But I've done this shot so many times with my Guardian that I know how to set this up, that I'll probably bring a Guardian even though a sniper would be a better choice. But if you have lower developed clubs on the second shot, you're going to need a big ball and you're going to probably need a big dog. All right, that was hole number 5, which is hole 5, par 5 of Santa Ventura. So hole number 6 is hole 6, par 4. Now, in the past, I've always played just hitting it through the trees, and I've got most of the time I'm going to end up in the rough right over here on the other side of the trees. I'm 1 in 50 times do the trees actually come into play. Normally I hit directly into the trees and I end up over here in the rough. And about 1 in 50 times I actually roll off on them on the fairway. But I got tired of, in the last few tournaments, in one-on-one play, I nail this hole all the time. I get eagles on this hole all the time in one-on-one, but in tournaments, for some reason, I do that same thing and it doesn't work out as well. So I'm going to switch up how I do this. The last tournament we played, and I'll post a video of the last tournament, I went through the process to figure out how to use this shot over here, where you're up. I'm not bouncing over from here, bouncing to here, and then trying to get over. I'm actually starting off kind of where this white, I'm starting off right in this area right here. And it's very little topspin, just enough that you look like you're going to land in the sand. The second bounce in spot is like right on the transition between the sand and the fairway on the other side. And then allowing the wind, last time we were in a tournament, the wind was going this way, so allowing the wind to kind of push me forward and then taking that shot, you can end up right next to the green with a putt. It's a little more technical, but I think it gives me my best shot of getting eagle on this hole every time. And this is a hole that you want to get eagle on. If you can work the shot to get eagle on this every time, and I do have videos of this, so I will post the videos of me doing the shot from over here. Now the black line is a very consistent line as well. So here you're going to take probably one of your bigger drivers like an extra mile and trying to get out into this area, you're trying to clear these trees for this shot. So anything, if you're anywhere in this area, you're good to go. What you did is you cleared the tree so that when you come into the approach shot to the green, you don't have to put on any curl. And it'll be a short iron shot from out here. The problem with this green is that the green starts off at the very top up here where these blue and white marks are. The green starts off and it goes like this, and it's also side hill, so it's rolling like this down the hill. And it's very difficult to chip your ball up and get it to go straight to the hole because the hole wants to drop. Sometimes what I find when I'm out here is I'm not only having to adjust for the wind, I'm having to adjust for the slope on the green at the same time. And while I feel real comfortable with my Hornet, I don't really like having to take this shot out here. So I'm gonna work on the shot that bounces from this island that gets right over to the pin. All right, let's talk about if you do the shot from the green or any area that you end up out here, always remember that you may be close enough that wind is not going to play a factor on that chip shot, but you have to account for the slope of the green. And if you're anywhere on this side of it, you're really dealing with, you're going to chip it on and it's really going to want to roll down that green. So the cup is here, and so as soon as gravity takes hold, gravity is going to want to push it in this direction as it's rolling down the green. So you always have to account for, on these short chips on this hole, you have to be cognizant of the fact that there's so much slope on the green that wind isn't moving your ball. It's the green, it's the slope on the green itself. All right, that was hole number 6, par 4 of the Tropic Kings. So let's see, hole number 7 of the Tropic Kings is going to be in the Oasis. Let's go to the Oasis. The Oasis. And hole number 7 is going to be hole number 5. This is another one of the par 3s. This is a tough par 3. And these Oasis holes used to be in Tour 9. And I'll tell you a quick story here. I went to Tour 9, and the first day that I got there, when I was working up the scale, I got half the trophies in the first day. I won like 16 out of 20 matches, and I got half the trophies the first day just coming into Tour 9. So I thought to myself, I literally went to bed that night and thought, okay, I'll finish out Tour 9 tomorrow, and I can go to Tour 10 because Tour 10 has a bunch of holes that I like. So I woke up the next morning, I got on, and 2.5 months later, I maxed out Tour 9. I hated Tour 9. And this is one of the shootout holes that I hated. I absolutely hated this hole. From the Pro Tees, this hole just, I don't know. I just never could get the deal worked out. From rookie, we can do the rough bump here. The problem is that we need to, you almost need to be, this is one of those holes where depending on what wind they give us, you really need, it pushes you back. If you start off and you want to be on this cut of the rough, you're going to hit this cut of the rough. I mean, it's almost like even if you didn't have wind, there was zero wind, you're aiming at this cut of the rough and you end up touching this cut of the rough. So it's very easy to overdraw this. I do like the rough bump here, and I'm going to figure that out because it's a very consistent shot that you can do. But the other shot that you can do is to come out here with a ball that's got some curl, or excuse me, a ball that's got side spin and a club that's got some curl, and then bring it back around and do this. If you start out in here and you're trying to make that first bounce over and then you're trying to bring it around, what I see a lot of people do is they start off here, they want their first bounce to be here, and then they're going to put curl to bring it over to the hole. Well, if you draw an arc here, here's your circle, okay, and you draw that arc and you put sides or curl on it, you only have just a little teeny bit that you can put on it, or you're going to hit this rough. And that's the problem on this hole, is if you pull this shot right here out so that you're trying to get out into this area, your second bounce, it's still hard to bring the ball back to the hole. So either starting off, if you're playing from the first tees, starting off back in here and just trying to get the ball to dribble out and give you a look at hole in one, but not really trying to press the issue. The main thing is to get on the green here and get the heck out of here. This is not a high percentage hole in one hole. So if you're really going for it and you end up in the rough out here, this is one of those holes that can be very difficult, and you'll end up getting pars on it. I'm going to do the rough bump here in rookie, because from the first tees we can do this rough bump pretty easy. You can still do the rough bump from the back tees, but the deal is that you're using a bigger club, so it comes in hotter. And so that effect of being pushed back one cut is going to be exaggerated. What I do here is once I set the ball up where I want it to be in this rough, and I make whatever wind adjustment, I actually put it back about a half a cut to compensate for it. But I'm sure that it's a win percentage thing, like you need to add on 20% for the win, or you need to add on 30% for the win. It's a big adjustment too. A lot of people are going to be coming at it from this direction here, trying to get the ball to come up. And like I said, this is not a high percentage hole in one hole, so the key here is to do whatever you have the clubs to do to limp the ball onto the green and then make your putt and go home. Even if you start out here and you just hit a straight shot and try and lay the ball up and make that putt and get gone, or end up right here on the fringe and make that short chip and get the heck away from this hole. This hole is another one of those types of par threes that will eat a lot of people's lunches. There's going to be a lot more people who get par on this hole than get hole in one. So getting your birdie and moving on to the next hole is very critical. I call this the fish hole, and the fish par three, and this par three just is tough. All right, so our hole number 8 of the Tropic Kings tournament is going to be hole 8, par 4 of the Oasis. And I prefer, if you're playing from the rookie tees, I like to land out on this area here and get the ball to come forward as far as I can. And then I like to do the rough bump to come in. And it doesn't really matter what clubs you have in your bag to do this rough bump, but I like to use my accurate clubs. So it's going to be my Backbone, my Hornet. They're very accurate clubs, and doing a rough bump with them is very easy. But I find that this definitely lends itself to doing a rough bump, because the pin is so close to the front of the green that unless you have a backspin club, you can't really start off on the green and get it to stop before the hole it wants to roll past it. So if you like to do backspin shots, I would definitely bring all the clubs in your bag for backspins. You want to bring your wood, your long iron, your short iron. Bring clubs that have backspin on them if you like to do those backspin shots. Typically, you're going to end up, if you end up in the rough up in anywhere on this side of this line, it could cause you a little bit of problems. So I'm less apt to want to bring a long iron or a rough iron that has distance, because it may not have backspin. So if you feel comfortable about that you're going to end up somewhere up here, this might be a great hole to bring a machete, just because it has a lot of backspin, and you can achieve the same kind of shot with your rough iron that you could with your other clubs, because you brought backspin clubs. I'm going to come at it from the other direction. I'm going to come at it from with accurate clubs, and I'm going to be doing the rough bump. So I'm not going to worry about having to bring a machete or bring a Houdini or any of the backspin specialty clubs. I'm going to try and hit it out into this area. I want to get right in front of this shadow, and that'll put me in my short iron range. So to achieve that, we're starting back at the pin. I will have to use an extra mile in order to get my first shot to be here, with my second bounce taking me over that rough and ending me up there by the shadows. So I'll have to bring at least a katana, possibly a bigger ball, and depending on your clubs, you may have to bring a bigger club. A Titan may or may not have enough side spin to take you from the tee box. If you look at your angle here, to cut this distance. A Titan's probably got enough, but you'll probably be able to get it done with a katana. So I'm going to do island to here, rough bump to get onto the green. Hole number 9 of the Tropics Kings tournament is going to be on, let's see if we can get back here. It's going to be on Santa Ventura. And that would be, if I could spell, Santa Ventura. And it's going to be hole 9, par 5. So we're looking at hole 9. This is our final one. This hole here in tournament play, they almost always give us some kind of wind going in a forward direction. You know, the wind is gonna be on this side of the line going something like this. It may be side wind, but they hardly ever, I've never seen them in a tournament give us any forward working wind so that it's pushing against us. My normal thing here is that you can do this with a 3-power ball if you have good tailwind, about bringing a 4-power ball, and I'm actually hitting from the tee box. Let me pan back out a little bit. I'm hitting from the tee box out here, drawing a line, and I'm going over these trees, trying to land out in this area with maximum, it's going to be a max overpower, max curl shot, and I'm trying to actually bridge the gap to get to this fairway. And even if you limp out onto this fairway and you're just somewhere, you know, somewhere down in this lower section, that's fine. And personally, I would rather be out there than to get all the distance and end up here. It's a much easier second shot from here if you just limp on, because now you have a straight in shot to the green. Whereas if you get up into this area, now you have to contend with all those traps. And this green, the green itself on this side right here looks like this. I mean, it's got this big hill, and then here's the flagpole. And so trying to get your ball to come from this direction and trying to get onto the green and keep your ball on the green is, if you're going to hit it out here, or if you find yourself consistently out in that area, you definitely want to bring backspin clubs for your short iron, because when you get onto the green, you can actually try a dunk. And that's probably the best way to go at it, is to try a dunk. So you put maximum backspin on, and if you miss the dunk, the ball's still going to end up coming back towards the hole and you'll be on the green. But for me personally, I really don't want to hit out here. Now, if you could hit way up here, then you've got a little bit of an opening coming back at the green, and it's not bad, but it's super difficult to end up there. I tend to find myself right down into this area, and then I've got that straight shot. Now, conversely, if I miss the shot, this overpowered shot, I miss it somewhere on this rough here, whereas if I moved to the left, I would have been like way out in the green, but I missed the shot. And I'm in this rough, and if you've got a nirvana anywhere from the rough down here, you can get on with a nirvana. So I'm not too concerned about, even if I don't get on the fairway out here, of having a bad shot. Now, the other way that you can come at this, and I like to do this shot with a quarterback as opposed to a king or a extra mile, just because the quarterback's got so much curl on it, is from the tee box. You can start off, you can see this, so here's the tee box. You can see where this first tree that it clips. I like to start inside of that tree about 2 rings off from the rough. So I'm giving myself a little bit of room for error. Maximum side spin. Not necessarily all of the top spin, but you'll have to work that out with your club depending on what level your club is. No overpower. Using a ball that's got 3 curl or 3 side spins, so either a katana or a kingmaker. And in this shot, the second shot is difficult, so make it easy on yourself by bringing a 3-power ball and hitting the shot right here around the corner. And when you set this shot up, depending on how you have to adjust for the wind, the ball guide may disappear because it clips this tree. Don't worry about that. Set your ball up about two rings off from the rough area right there. Make whatever wind adjustment you have, and then you're going to put curl to bring that ball back up into this area. If you overshoot this shot and you end up in this rough just right here along the edge, it can be very difficult from here to get up to the green and one, even with a nirvana. So if you're going to end up in this rough out here, you want to be way up here in the rough. Then you've got a shot at it. So when you're doing this layup shot, make sure that whatever you do as the week goes on, and if you watch my videos, I'll tell you, like, hey, on this, it's no more than 2 topspin. And the reason that no more than 2 topspin, and then it really won't matter what club you have, no more than 2 topspin, because that'll leave you back and you'll never end up in that rough. So in one-on-one play, I play, because I don't necessarily want to bring out big balls, I play this shot right here. I play trying to get up into this area and then going for the green. That's my normal go-to. But in tournaments, I'm going to use either a 3 or a 4 power ball, and I'm going to try and get myself out here. to give myself a look, a straight in look at the green. And it's still a difficult, this is a low percentage albatross hole. And as weird as it may sound, probably your best shot at albatross here is a dunk. So anytime you hear the words, hey, the best way to get an albatross in that hole is to do a dunk, you know that it's a low percentage albatross hole. So the goal here is not to get albatross. The goal here is to secure your eagle. Because there's going to be, it's going to be a huge percentage. 25, 30%, 40% of the people that play this hole are not going to get eagles every time they hit it. And maybe 2%, maybe 2 out of 100 are going to get an albatross. Maybe 1 out of 100. It's going to be a low number. This is a hard hole to albatross. It's a hard hole to eagle. So if you can come to this hole and just consistently get the hole down and get your eagle and go to the next hole, you're going to be ahead of a bunch of people. So don't stress on the alby here. Stress on just getting on the green, getting your eagle, and going to the next hole. All right, that's just a basic walkthrough. Once they post the stuff on Golf Clash Notebook, I'll go back and look at it. If you're playing in rookie, you're not going to get to practice hole number 1, hole number 2, hole number 3, hole number 7, and hole number 8. There's only 4 holes here you're going to get to practice, and that's the Santa Ventura holes that are going to be in Tour 2. So definitely think about using Monday as a practice round so that you can go out and kind of work on your notes. The clubs, I think just like for me, the standard, whatever your standard bag is, I'm going to definitely want to write down numbers for my extra mile. I'm going to want to have numbers for my quarterback. I'm going to want to have numbers for my sniper, my guardian, my big dog. I would want to have numbers for my backbone and my Saturn in your bag, depending on what level your clubs are. If you're doing backspin stuff, if you're looking at short iron, you're probably looking at a thorn and a hornet for me. If you've got higher developed clubs, maybe a claw on some of these holes would be really good, especially if you've got a high level developed claw, because its accuracy is better than a thorn, and its backspin is almost as good. I think it only has 3 less backspin than a thorn. So, and the claw is a much better utility club, and it's more accurate than a thorn. So if you've got a maxed out claw, that's definitely a club to write your numbers down for this week. I would definitely want to have, there are a few holes in here that you might think about bringing a machete. So whatever your normal sand or rough iron is, which in my case is going to be a Nirvana, and a machete, those are the 2 clubs. If you've got lower developed clubs, there's a couple of these that it might be worth bringing on Amazon. The thing about an Amazon is it doesn't have a very good ball guide, but what it does have is it's got a lot of backspin. So if you can work out the distance, it does give you the ability to stop real quick, and then ball guide's not really as big a factor. Sand wedges, Malibu, Spitfire, maybe a Houdini. Some of these holes, if you get into the sand there, in this one right here, really the only sand that's coming into play is the stuff that's up close. And so if you end up in this stuff up close, it's super difficult to get on the green. So this might be a hole that you'd bring a Houdini, just so that if you do end up in the sand, especially down here close to the hole, you'd be able to get out of the sand and backspin real quick. So those would be clubs that I would definitely want to know my numbers for this week. All right, save your good balls. There's a lot of holes in this tournament that require a bigger ball if you don't want to have to do a bunch of overpower. So I would definitely want to conserve my big balls this week and not use a lot of those katanas and titans and kingmakers, just so that you have those for the tournament. All right, that was just kind of a basic walkthrough on the Tropic Kings tournament that's coming up, and I will try and shoot. I'll shoot Monday morning. I'll shoot a practice round as early as I can and get it posted, and then I'll do another practice round on Monday, and we'll just start playing the week off. But use Monday as a practice round. Thanks for watching.